and welcome to YarnGasm. I'm Kristen and this is episode 242. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're a new viewer, welcome to the podcast. This is a podcast about knitting, spinning, hand dyeing yarn, sewing, and making all the things in Brooklyn, New York, where I'm from and I live. And as always, I'm so happy that you're taking some time out of your day to chat about those things with me. So I'm gonna pop on the screen quickly where you can follow me on the interwebs. I am most active, as always, on Instagram, obviously on Ravelry and Voolenvine on both places, and show notes can be found over on www.yarngasmpodcast.com, and email, as always, is the best way to get in touch with me if you have a question regarding the podcast, knitting, or what have you. So yes, welcome to the podcast. It is a very, very hot Thursday morning. I'm getting an early start for once, and I'm on time with the podcast recording, so everything is great, except it's going to heat up really quickly. So I'm gonna try and make this a snappy episode, if you will, so I'm not sweating bullets the entire time. And I also just want to apologize really quickly in advance if you hear a lot of jackhammering in the background. It's been a very noisy summer. They're doing a lot of construction work on our block and there's just no way working around it. So I apologize in advance for any noise that you might hear. You might at some point hear my neighbor across the street. He's been getting into the habit, this is a new thing, like he just sits across the street on a stoop. He's an older guy, you know, just kind of hangs out on a stoop, singing along to classic rock, sometimes classic hip hop. It's awesome, it's hilarious and endearing. But yeah, you might get a little bit of that at some point. So yeah, the windows are closed for now, and yeah, it's been a very noisy summer here in Bushwick, Brooklyn. But I have lots of knitting and stuff to share with you this week, so let's get into it. Okay, so this is a project that I've been working on for quite some time, not I want to say like over a month, 2 months or whatever. So friends of ours are having a baby. They are due in September, and I decided, of course, that I want to knit them a baby blanket, like you do usually. And I am a self-professed selfish knitter, so this is definitely, yeah, this is a commitment for me, but I'm making headway. Well, let me show you what I have so far. So this is the Brooklyn Tweed Baby Blanket by Jared Flood. You've probably seen it floating around Ravelry for a while. It's a very popular baby blanket pattern, and it's essentially a giant hap shawl. So the center square is done. It's finished, and yeah, so now all that's left to do is knit the border, which is another huge undertaking. So what do I want to say about this? Yeah, the yarn is Knit Picks Swish in their the Dove Heather colorway. So simple gray. Again, they don't want to know the sex of the baby until he or she is born. So that leaves me with, basically neutral colors. I would go with neutral colors regardless if it was a boy or a girl, just because, I'm not one of those people that believes that, girls should have pink or boys should have blue specifically, especially because I'm not the parent. I want them to decide that type of thing. So I think neutrals regardless was the way to go, and I'm very happy that I did. But I needed some kind of guidelines, so I went with the mother's, our friend, her college colorways. So yeah, I chose gray, a light gray for the center, and then for the border I'm going to do some contrasting, again, Knit Picks Swish, it's a worsted weight yarn in Garnet Heather, and then a nice darker gray in Marble Heather. So I think these will pair up very nicely, and I apologize for my my sloppy skeins right here. So yeah, very excited. Yeah, the baby shower is next weekend, so I have a lot of work cut out for me to do, but I'm gonna do it baby steps, like one step at a time, get it going, really put a dent in it over the weekend, and oh goodness, this jackhammering is ridiculous. I sincerely apologize. But thank you for bearing with me if you are. So anyway, but yeah, okay, so I'm using Hi Sharp's US size 9s, which are 5mm needles, and yeah, so the center square, I have a couple of gripes with it. super easy to knit up, obviously. It's just a garter square knit on the bias. However, I took this as an opportunity to practice my continental knitting. I am an English knitter I'm a self-taught English knitter. I learned to flick with my right hand. However, I wouldn't mind speeding up the process and of course saving my wrists as I get older, as I gracefully age. So I figured, okay, it'd be handy to like learn how to knit with my left hand as a continental knitter. So I took it upon it. So half of it is knit English, the way I normally knit. And then the other half is kind of like on and off English / continental. And you can definitely see, I don't know if it's obvious on camera, but you can see that my gauge is a lot neater on the side where I knit English style, whereas the side that I'm practicing my continental knitting is a bit looser. And yeah, last week I toted it as, you know, it just looks like it's more hand spun, you know. Yeah, Kristen, you can tell yourself that all you want, but really it's not the neatest job ever. But I have faith that as soon as I work the border and block everything out, it'll be just fine. It's not terribly off where it's like a total wonky square, but it's a little wonky, ever so slightly. But and as you can see, I started picking up the stitches for the edging or the border, and I have to pull that out again because I misread the instructions, and anyway, I have less stitches than are required that I needed to pick up. So anyway, that will be redone. But anyway, here's where I am with that. Again, super simple so far. Super simple baby project, I guess. So it's just a matter of me putting pedal to the metal and getting this done before next weekend. So fingers crossed I can make it happen. If not, they will just be getting it at a later date. No pressure on myself. Because what's the fun in that? Anyway, if it gets done, it gets done. If it doesn't, it doesn't. No biggie. So, okay. And we have a new setup. Welcome to my hallway. And I actually did a quick little background change. I actually, just to make it a little more knitterly, I swapped out a generic photo that was in our hallway and put up a sheet because why not? Anyway, this is my temporary studio for the day. So yeah, this is not my normal setup if you are a regular podcast viewer, obviously. So yeah, it's a lot more quieter, albeit a little bit more echoey in here. But the good news is my bedroom's right there with the air conditioner, so I can have the air conditioner just, oh, it's wonderful, it's glorious. So anyway, sorry for the little hitch in the episode, but yeah, where was I? Okay, so I shared with you my Brooklyn tweed baby blanket, and now I was chatting about the Violet shawl, which is a wonderful pattern by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade Designs, with the Shawl Society 2. And yeah, this is the third installment of the Shawl Society 2. And again, super intuitive, super potato chippy, loving the way these colors are playing together. The yarn that I'm using for this is Miss Babs in her, oh goodness gracious, I forgot the base name. I think it's like Yummy 2 ply. So for the main colorway, I'm using Sea Glass. And then for the contrasting color B, I'm using Shining City, which has a similar base color, I want to say it's Sea Glass overdyed with like deep magentas, hints of yellow. And it's just creating this really awesome, not too stark chevron pattern. So I just love the way that the colors are playing with each other, kind of blending into each other, and yeah, I like it. It's my kind of chevron. Like, I'm not, again, like as I mentioned last week, I wasn't immediately drawn to this pattern, but when I saw the colorways together, I thought that it would have a really awesome effect. And then of course I had to, because the pattern also incorporates a lace portion, I thought this colorway by Eden Cottage Yarns, their BFL sock in the Marigold colorway. This is a skein that I picked up at Edinburgh Yarn Festival. So I just thought it would go so great together with this colorway combination, and pick up on the yellow flecks. I don't know if you can even see them, but there is a hint of yellow throughout the Shining City colorway B in the Miss Babs. And the Miss Babs I picked up at Rhinebeck last year, 2016. So I'm using, what am I using? high sharps, obviously. High sharps US 7 4.5 millimeter needle. So loving this. Again, not making like huge progress on it. These are kind of like, this is kind of like my sock knitting project, if you will, or I equate it with knitting socks since it's a, you know, again, very intuitive pattern. I don't have to really focus on it as much. So yeah, I'm excited to get to this part though, the lace knitting part. So yeah, there's that. I'm trying to think what else I've been working on. Yes, oh yes, my Damyaka Lopa cardigan by Pinay. Hello, I'm back in frame. By Pinay Guri, who designed this beautiful, beautiful pattern. So I am actually knitting this along with Ellie from Skein Deer Knits, awesome podcast, as I mentioned last week. Color work is her thing. That's what she loves to do, and she's extremely good at doing it. Totally inspirational. I just want to forewarn you, after I'm done handling this project, my nose is going to start to itch like crazy. So in advance, you might see me do this a lot, and I apologize. This is the episode of apologies for the noise, for the nose scratching. I might as well not apologize because it cannot be helped. So anyway, but yeah, I'm knitting this along with Ellie of the Skein Deer Knits podcast. And yeah, she is, if you have not checked out Skein Deer Knits, it is a lovely podcast. Ellie is awesome. Color work is her thing, and she's very good at it. She knits all the color work, and I want to be her as a knitter sometimes. But anyway, I'm making a lot of progress on this. Yeah, this is Jameson Spindrift, so it's fingering weight Shetland, 100% Shetland yarn, and it's been so long since I've knit with pure wool, and you guys, this is gonna be. It's practically knitting itself. I'm just trying to get like an angle so you can see it. Yeah, I do want to say that I kind of wish I picked more contrasty colorways, because I know like this mauve is kind of blending in with this dark gray, and then here you just see like this stark black with the green and the mauve, which kind of blends into each. I do like the effect. I don't hate it. I actually really, really love it. But I think the pattern itself requires like more contrasty fabric. I am still learning to kind of, you know, pick and choose, like when it comes to knitting color work, picking colors that don't get muddled with each other, if that makes any sense. So there's a trick to doing it. I just picked these colors because I really love the way that they look together, and I definitely wanted a black main part of the body with light gray fleas, as the Lopa is translated. I could be totally wrong with that, but anyway, I just love the way that these colorways play together with as a combination. So I'm going with it. So the trick actually to so anyway, as I was saying, there's a trick to coming up with a colorway combination that plays well together, that doesn't get muddled, if that makes sense. So what you do is you take your colorway choices, you line them up, take a photo of them, bring them into Photoshop or whatever photo editor you have, or you can just take a black and white photo. Yeah, just take a photo, convert it to black and white, and if you can see like a stark difference between each colorway with a couple, you know, of, you know, in-betweens, you know, but mainly like, if you can tell that each colorway is different if they're in black and white, then that's a good sign that you picked a good contrasting colorway combination for a colorwork project such as this. So I hope that makes sense. But if they look way too muddled, you might want to switch a couple of colorways in and out with, you know, just to get that balance. So I hope that makes sense. But anyway, loving the way this is turning out. As you can see here, it's a little wider because I have short rows, or there are short rows, so it's very stripy, or very like obvious thick stripes behind here, and then it kind of tapers off in the. So like in the front, it'll look like this. So, and here's my steeking strip right here in between these two stitch markers. So there will be steeking, my friends, and I cannot wait to get to that part. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I will steek. I will fearlessly steek through this project. The pattern does provide very good instructions on how to steek a cardigan. So, but I will be looking at, you know, videos as well, just to kind of reinforce or make sure I know. Maybe I'll do a practice steek. I know Lara from Jinx Yarns of the Dyer's Notebook, she's doing SSK today, this weekend, which I'm kind of jealous that I can't go to, but she's taking a steeking class, so kind of jealous about that. But anyway, looks like she's doing very well though. So anyway, I'm rambling. So yeah, here's where I am with my Damyaka Lopa. And what else did I want to say about this? Yeah, I'm using US 2.5, US 2.5 needles. That's also 3mm needles. Hiya Sharps. I'm just a full convert to Hiya Sharps. I refuse to use any other needle than Hiya Sharps these days. So that's my jam these days. So anyway, and yeah, so this is all living in my Toad Hollow bag that I purchased from D-Unit at one of my, not my last trunk show, but the trunk show before. So I love this bag so much. It holds so much. It's awesome. And owls, the owls, they are not what they seem. Twin Peaks reference. Anyway, I digress. So yes, what else do I want to chat about? I am working on another project. It's actually a shawl design. I don't want to talk about it just yet. But what else I can talk about is something that has not made an appearance on the podcast for a while. And this is my granny stripe crochet blanket. I have to be honest, I've been feeling a little overwhelmed with my projects because once I cast something big off, like my eyeball shawl that I shared with you last week, as soon as I'm done knitting a project like that, I just kind of, in my head, I just give myself full-on permission to go crazy casting on all the things. And now I find myself in a pickle, in a rut, just kind of feeling a little bit overwhelmed. And when that happens, I really just don't know what to do, what to focus on, and everything that I work on is not what I want to work on at the moment. So this is kind of my project that I fall back on when I just need to cleanse my palette, if that makes sense. So I'm so happy that I cast this on because it has just been a lifesaver. But anyway, slow but steady progress on my granny stripe blanket. But it's a sushi roll. Look at that. I love this thing. It's awesome. It's a ginormous sushi roll of crochet, and it brings me such happiness. Yeah, so it's quite long, very long. But here's where I am, and I actually started crocheting some hand spun into the project. I don't know if you can see. I think this was what do you call it, right here, this little peachy coral color. I think that is a little bit of, oh goodness, what is it, fondant fiber by Deb, who is an amazing fiber artist. Yeah, it's just some hand spun that I've had in my stash for some time, and it wasn't enough to knit anything substantial, so I'm like, you know what, it's going in the granny stripe blanket. And then here I added some Jinx yarns. This is her fairy colorway, I believe. It's an older colorway. I don't think she's dyed it for a while, but knitting with it, Laura, if you're watching, I might be ordering some or requesting some because I really love the way this colorway knits up, or crochets up. So I'm loving this. And yeah, I've just been addicted to it. And I also want to say, I've been knitting on this ever since I started learning how to continental knit. I've been trying to, I know a lot of people say, well, it helps if you are a crocheter because you hold the yarn, or most crocheters hold the yarn in their left hand, so you have to learn how to tension the yarn to crochet with your left hand. So I've just been looking at a lot of crochet tutorials on YouTube and online and seeing how people tension their yarn in their hand, and that is how I learned how to tension my yarn to knit continental. That is the sweet spot for me. So this makes sense. I wrap the yarn twice around my pinky, weave it in one of the fingers. I don't know, I have to do a tutorial or something, but I wrap the yarn twice around my pinky and somehow loop it over my index finger, and that gives me enough tension to crochet and knit continentally. So and after like I learned how to hold my yarn that way, this is flying way quicker than I had been crocheting on this, which is making it that much more fun to work on. So yay, it's crazy because yeah, ever since learning how to tension my yarn correctly, I've kind of been wanting to dive deeper into the dark arts, as some knitters call it. I call it the dark arts endearingly. After I learned how to hold the yarn with my how to correctly tension the yarn in my hand, I've just been like, I could see myself getting a little deeper into the crochet land, you know? But not in the sense that you think like shawls or anything. This is gonna sound totally crazy, but I have a craving to crochet doilies. I know, it's insane. But like after looking up tutorials and everything, I just stumbled upon like these beautiful, gorgeous, very intricate, like crochet doilies. And I don't know, like I would love to make some, you know, just for decorative purposes, because I'm a hardcore like Victorian, historical fanatic, you know, if you have been watching the podcast, you know that I love that stuff. So I guess that's kind of leading me into stash enhancement, since we are on the topic of diving into the dark arts and crochet and whatnot. I might as well just, you know, come out of the crochet closet and say that I purchased some crochet thread. Hang on. So Nina of the This Old Knit podcast had informed me that Felici was back in stock, and I had been wanting to get my hands on some Felici because some of their new colorways were just really, really cool and spoke to me. So I'm like, oh, they're back in stock. Yes. All right. So I hopped on to Knit Picks, and obviously since I'm not an avid crocheter and I don't want to like invest in like, I don't know, is there even like super fancy crochet thread? There probably is, like, I'm sure there's some with like some serious soul content in there, but anyway, I didn't realize that Knit Picks actually had crochet thread. On a whim, I looked it up, and, you know, I was interested in dabbling in it and, you know, making crocheting doilies. And lo and behold, they have crochet thread. It's called Curio. Here it is. And yeah, it's 100% cotton, and you get 721 yards, 100 grams per cake, I guess you could call this. Yeah, it is in kind of cake form. But yeah, it's number 10 crochet thread, which is, I believe, pretty standard. And it calls for a 1.5 millimeter hook. Now, I don't know crochet hook sizes off the top of my hand very well, but I do have like a handful of inherited crochet hooks that I found either at flea markets or handed down from my grandmother or what have you. But anyway, super tiny crochet hook. I don't know if you can see this. This is a boy, size 5. So I don't know what that is in millimeters exactly. I'd have to look it up. But yeah, it's super tiny, a little bit bigger, believe it or not. This is a little bit bigger if you are familiar with knitting with beads. I have a tutorial where I use an even smaller crochet hook to put size 6 beads over the crochet hook head and then bead like that. Anyway, I'll link to it in the show notes. But this is much bigger than that needle, so it's size 5. I think the smaller the number, the bigger the needle. Or yeah, the larger the number, the bigger the needle head, and the smaller the number, the smaller the needle head. So I generally use a boy crochet hook size 10 to knit with beads. So anyway, yeah, this is the, what colorway is this? Hello, Victorian. And it's, as you can see, it's like a reddish mauve colorway. So I had to get it. And then I also purchased, because why not, this is more my color right here. I think it's called Ice Lily. So yeah, I've dipped into it and I found a couple, believe it or not, there are quite a few free crochet doily tutorials on the interwebs, and I still need a lot of work because it is very intricate, and I'm still wrapping my brain around reading, because it's a lot of the patterns out there, especially because they're free, they're not charted, and that's a whole nother ballgame that I have to wrap my brain around. So crochet charts, I'm a total advocate of knitting from knitting charts, but crochet charts are another animal. And yeah, reading directions is, I'm getting there. But anyway, this is something I've been noodling around with, and I don't have the name of this off the top of my head. I will link to it in the show notes, but there are clusters. There's some clusters happening, but it's a mini doily. It's a tiny mini doily, and it's making my heart jump for joy, because I don't know, it just makes me so happy. So anyway, I'm crocheting doilies. What's wrong with me? Yeah, anyway, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the process, and yeah, I'm I think it's definitely helping my continental knitting as well. So just, you know, crocheting on different size needles and then switching on and off between projects. And anyway, it's a whole learning process. This is this is my special brand of crazy, whatever you want to call it. It seems to be working, so yeah. Anyway, as you can see, I have a lot going on project-wise, and you can see why it's a little overwhelming for me. But anyway, if anybody would like to join the crazy and start crocheting doilies with me, let me know. I'll create a thread and we can just crochet doilies together. Doily craze. Yeah. Anyway, I have to come up with like a clever name, a clever name for crocheting doilies. But anyway, yeah, I came out of the doily crocheting closet, whatever you want to call it. So anyway, that's what I'm working on. I think that is it for what I've been knitting. Oh yeah, I have one more stash enhancement to share with you. So as I mentioned, Nina had informed me, like she does. She's always awesome like that. Totally enabling Nina. Why you do this, I do not know. But it's bad. It's very, very bad because then I go shopping and yeah, anyway. I bought myself some Felici. I was good though. I had like a couple of colorways in my cart, but I'm like, you know what? I'm not on a sock kick right now, so I'm just gonna be good and just get one colorway that really, really spoke to me. So I got this new colorway. It's called Steam Trunker. What was this called? Oh, Steamer Trunk. So I'm assuming it's inspired by steampunk because it has mauve, it has gray, it has like peach or beige, some browns. So either of these will be a really awesome pair of socks for Dennis or me, but I really love this colorway. So yay, I have some Felici. It's been a while since I ordered Felici, but they are fun colorways and good, simple, easy projects. Yeah, and it's just fingering weight. 75% superwash merino wool, 25% nylon. Can't go wrong with that. So maybe this will kick my sock knitting mojo back into gear. We shall see. So I do want to try knitting a pair of socks continentally. I think that's next on the docket. So yeah, so that is it for, like I said, what I've been making this week. So I guess I will move along to sewing. So I'm wearing it, you guys, and I'm back. And I'm wearing my finished object. This is Gertie's Patterns by Gertie B6453. It's a pattern by Butterick. So I made this version A, with the gathered skirt. And it's a simple, as you can see, it's a simple construction. Princess seams, well, that might not be totally simple, but you know, very basic lines and whatnot. So, but yeah, it's a princess seam bodice and gathered skirt. And yeah, I am so in love with this dress, you guys. This is like my favorite make so far. And as you can see, so it's the fabric is challis. I am totally butchering that, but it has a princess seam. Like princess seam has like this curved seam line down the front, and it was a little tricky. I did not want any flowers. As you can see, it's floral, so I did not want any flowers on any unfortunate places, such as the apex. So I had to be very careful about how I cut out the fabric and everything, and so far I was very happy. I didn't want sunflowers on the bodice, so I was very careful about where I cut there, and thankfully it all worked out, and it seems very seamless almost because it's a black print with florals all around it. So that worked out very well. And as I mentioned, I did a small bust adjustment, so that was a challenge for me, but I made it happen. And I also, what else did I want to say? What did I do with this? Oh, so as I mentioned, this is challis. I'm going to just call it challis fabric, challis. I'll call it challis because that sounds nice. But it's challis fabric, and it's like cotton, but it's very slippery, I want to say. So I had to be very careful cutting it out because, as I mentioned, it's very slippery fabric. So what I did was, for big parts, I just used regular fabric shears, but for small pieces like the bodice and the facing, I used a rotary cutter. So that made my lines a lot more precise when I was cutting it out. It was a beast to cut out though, because it took me about, I want to say like an hour, and it was crazy. yeah, that was not the fun part of it. As with most sewing projects, cutting out the fabric is the least fun part, I want to say. So yeah, there was that. The other problem that I ran into, now the pattern calls for pockets. I had to forego the pockets for this reason because, as I mentioned, cutting out the fabric was no picnic, and I was not paying attention to one of the pattern pieces for the skirt. The front of the skirt said cut on fold. I missed that detail and cut 2 pieces. So I kind of was swearing like a longshoreman when I realized this little tidbit that I missed. What do you do? It's like I could either scrap the whole thing, start from scratch, or try to make it work like Tim Gunn says. So I channeled my inner Tim Gunn and I made it work. My first plan was to just sew the front pieces together and call it a day. So I did that. But then I ended up with a flower in a very unfortunate place. So that wasn't gonna happen. So I'm like, all right. At this point I was like seriously contemplating just ordering more fabric, but I was like, no, I can make it work. So I laid the fabric out, looked at the seam that I had made with the flower in the very unfortunate place, if you know what I mean, and I cut it out. I took my rotary cutter and just sliced it out, and I noticed that there were like, on the either side of the flower, there was like like 2 sections on either side that were just pure floral, like smaller flowers that like up here, if you can see it, just like little flower bits and everything. And then I said, you know what, if I just cut that out, I'm gonna lose some fabric. I'm probably going to have to forego the pockets because they'll just be at weird places if I incorporate them. So I'm like, I can live without pockets. So I cut out the flower, and then I just again sewed the 2 pieces together, and I figured if it's a gathered skirt, you're really not going to be able to see it. So let me show you my mistake. You really can't see it. I don't know, unless let me see. Yeah. Unless you look really hard, I'm gonna show you right here. Yeah, you can see that seam, but all the way up, it's just like small little flowers. So easy to conceal, and again, because it's a gathered skirt, nobody has noticed it, or I barely notice it, so I'm patting myself on the back for that. So go me. I'm trying to think what else did I want to say about that. Yeah, and I shortened the skirt. The skirt was much too long. I think I took off about maybe 4.5 inches from the bottom, from the original hem. So I'm gonna go back, look at the pattern piece, and cut off that much, so I know to do that for the next time I make this, because I will be making this again. And I really enjoy Shawl's fabric. I will definitely be working with it again. But yes, if you are considering working with it, for more detailed pattern pieces that have a lot of angles and curves, definitely consider getting a rotary cutter for that and cutting that. The other thing that I wanted to talk about are the straps, and they're spaghetti straps with a bra. I wouldn't say these are legit spaghetti straps. They do have some width to them, but yeah, you have to sew like long strips and then flip them inside out. And again, because I think I read Gertie's blog, she had recommended, oh gosh, where did it go? I had it in here. Oh, here it is, okay. So, but yeah, these are spaghetti straps. I'll call them spaghetti straps just for the sake of it, but they have these bra adjustment bars, if you will, and it has a little loop in the back. So anyway, these were interesting to construct, to put together, but I followed the directions and it all worked out. But then came the challenge of, you know, when you sew that long strip of fabric for the strap and then you have to flip it inside out. How, you might ask, do you do that without losing your mind? You could use a knitting needle, you could use, I'm sure you could use a knitting needle, but then Dritz makes this awesome tool called a loop flipper. And yeah, it's just a long metal rod, a skinny metal rod with this, I don't know if you can see, and it has this hook that kind of flips out like that and then catches. So you insert this thing into your sewn tube, and then you hook the edge of the top of the fabric in this hook, and then you pull it through. You have to finagle it a little bit, but you pull it through and you have a beautiful strap pulled inside out with no blood, sweat, or tears. So yeah, really handy tool. I will link to it in the show notes as I do everything. So anyway, thank you, Gertie, if you are watching this, which I highly doubt. Lifesaver. So anyway, yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say about this pattern. I will be making more. I wear this, I've been wearing this a lot. I think it's time to put it through the wash, but I love it so much, and yeah, I cannot say any more awesome things about this. That said, I think I'm going to move along to shop update, because I will be having a shop update this Friday, tomorrow, on July 21st at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So let me go get my yarn. Okay, so as I mentioned, I will be having a shop update tomorrow, and again, these are not all the colorways that I will have in the shop, but this is what I've dyed so far. So yeah, I also have a very exciting announcement. As you know, I like to switch in a couple of bases seasonally. So right now I brought back a base that I haven't had in the shop for several months, I want to say, and that is Narwhal, which is, let me see, here it is on Fairy Hair. It is a fingering weight yarn, 3-ply, 70-20, so 70% superwash blue face luster, 20% silk, and 10% cashmere. So Narwhal is back in stock, and here we have it again on Fairy Hair. I also have it on Blitzed and several other bases as well. I will also have it on Volca, and unfortunately not Nouveau. Nouveau I'm getting more in stock today, so I kind of ran out of Nouveau during the week, so but that is coming today, thankfully. And then I will have some Dirty on Purpose. Here it is on Narwhal, and here it is on Blitzed. I also have it on Volca. There's that. I will have some more Neptunia, which is a colorway that I hadn't dyed for a while, but I thought it was like super summery, so I should probably bring it back. So here we have it on Blitzed, and here it is on Volca, my MCN base. And Blitzed is by Gold Stellina base, in case you're curious. I will also have, let's see, Tea Leaves. Oops. So here it is on Blitzed, and here it is on Volca. I will have Tea Leaves on Nouveau as well. So there's that. And Footsie is actually taking a back seat this week, unfortunately. So I don't think I will have any Footsie in stock. So I'm kind of swapping it in and out with Narwhal at this point, but just a little heads up. So Tea Leaves. And then last but not least, let me see. I didn't bring another base, but I will have I Am No Bird, which is my Jane Eyre inspired colorway, and this is it on Narwhal. And I will have it on a couple of other bases as well. So there's that. And the other thing that I will have in stock, so as you know, I'm doing the Twin Steaks Yarn Club. That is currently underway. The first colorway went out. However, when it comes to dyeing yarn clubs, or any new colorway for that matter, you run the risk as a yarn dyer of dyeing up some prototypes that don't really necessarily speak to me or work exactly, but still they are yarn and beautiful in my eyes nonetheless. So I am going to put some prototypes for the first colorway, which if you are a part of the Twin Steaks Yarn Club, you should have received your colorway by now. If not, this is not the colorway you are receiving, obviously, but it's the same color family. So if you don't want to know, just look away. But yeah, this will be going in the shop as a free swim colorway. Cannot be repeated at all, but here it is. Yeah, this is not the colorway that people received in the club. It's just in the same color family. It didn't exactly work out. I just wanted to add something more to it, but it's still this really fun, speckly, variegated color. So anyway, I'm calling this Climbing Roses. So anyway, yeah, that will be in the shop as well as a free swim colorway. So okay, and as I mentioned, I'm going to be dyeing some more yarn today and tomorrow, so look out for more colorways soon. Again, if you would like to keep up to date with what's going to be in the shop, you can definitely find out over on VoolenvineYarns.com. I try to keep at least on Thursdays, I try to put up a blog post about what colorways will be in the shop. And as well, if you want to subscribe to the Voolenvine Yarns newsletter, just go to the website, voolenvineyarns.com, scroll all the way down to the bottom and enter your email, and you are automatically subscribed to the newsletter where you can stay in the loop. With as far as, you know, shop news, shop updates, what colorways are going to be available, and other exciting stuff. And yeah, the other thing that I want to chat about is my Oracle shawl. It's a shawl that I designed, and I don't have Margot, my mannequin, to model it for you, but she was in the beginning, she was there in the background. And yeah, I will try and post a photo of it here, but it's still in the process of being test knit. I have some really amazing test knitters. They're working super hard and they are amazing. And guys, I love you. Thank you so much. But yeah, it is still being test knit, and I'm aiming to publish it August 1st. And again, I'm so happy that a lot of you are excited to knit it. So I'm getting a lot of great feedback as always, and cannot wait to put it out into the knitting world. So yay, very excited about that. And I've definitely been bitten by the design bug. So I have been toying with a couple of other ideas that have been marinating in my head. So, you know, stay tuned for that. But I think that is it. So yes, I am probably gonna move along to blather. So yeah, that's the segment where I chat about what's been going on in my life. So stay tuned. So if you're still sticking with me, this is the blather section where I chat about life in general. And yeah, it's been a loud summer, as you can clearly hear. Like my office is pretty much a cacophony of noise. It's crazy. SAT word, you guys. Yes. Wow. Yeah, that was weird. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to getting out of the city. We are heading up to Cape Cod again in August. So that'll be a nice escape from the noise, the ruckus, or what have you. I'm finding in my old age, noise is becoming a little, like, the louder the things are, the less tolerable they become. It's crazy. So yeah, I invested in a pair of noise canceling headphones just for those days when I don't want to hear noise outside my window. So those have been a big help. Especially because if I have to close the window, the air conditioner in my office is quite loud. So I can't hear anything. Like if I'm watching a podcast or just want to enjoy the silence, yeah, those have very much come in handy. So anyway, there's that. I'm trying to think what else. Salem, I finished watching season 3. Very gruesome. Again, not for children or little ones. It's very scary, very graphic, and very violent. But I love that stuff. So I've been watching that, and unfortunately I found out that is, the season 3 is probably going to be the last season. So they did end it on a note where you could be satisfied with the ending, or they left it kind of open where, you know, they don't know if they're coming back yet, but they kind of left it with a good conclusion, but open to possibilities, if that makes sense. So anyway, kind of bummed about that, but I could see why that they wanted to end it. But anyway, I'm gonna miss it, and I literally just plowed right through it. So Twin Peaks, I'm still working my way through season 2, almost done, and I cannot wait to get to season 3, which I believe is airing on Showtime. So yeah, very excited about that. Game of Thrones, yes, Game of Thrones is now happening. So Game of Thrones season, I think 6 or 7, I think it's season 7 they're on now. Crazy. So the night we have, our internet service is not the best, and I want to say we tried watching it Sunday night, and I think the servers so many people must have been watching that show that our servers were just getting choked up. Can I even call it a server? I don't know. Our internet was getting choked up, so it would just kind of like, the streaming was just kind of dripping. It wasn't streaming, it was dripping. So it would play for about a minute and then had to regather itself. You got like the little time thing at the bottom, and we were losing our minds. So we're like, you know what, we're not gonna watch it tonight. We're gonna watch it 2 days from now when we have more time. So anyway, we watched it, when was it, Tuesday night, and yeah, so I would say it's slow start to the season, but I know they're just doing a couple backstory, building things up. We'll see where it goes, but yeah, loving the costumes, amazing, and yes, so anyway, Kitty's here. Kitty, you want to say hello? She's being very antisocial these days, but fun fact that I just learned about cats. Again, this is why I call it the blather section. You learn something new every time, right? Dennis and I were talking about, we're like, how, like, do cats sweat when they get hot? Like, how does it happen? And I looked it up online. Turns out cats sweat through their paws. I had no idea. I had no clue that that's how it worked. But anyway, yeah, cats sweat through their paws. Fun fact of the day, the more you know. So yeah, anyway, I'm being totally random today, so I am gonna end it there because I have a lot of work to do. So with that, do you wanna say hello? Come here. Come here, sweaty paws. She really doesn't wanna say hello today, so I won't force her, but anyway, I'm gonna leave it at that. So happy knitting, and I will see you next time. Bye.